All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday Night Live with Greg and Neil. Howdy, Greg.
Hey, Neil.
It's been two
Woohoo.
weeks since you've been on.
I know. Well,
You've
I'm
been
glad you let
traveling.
me.
You've been busy.
Yeah, I thought, after you had a couple other guest interviewers, I didn't know
hmm
if you'd let me back on the show. So
Well,
I feel good that you let me back on the show.
I know who's really in control. So,
We'll just let that one go at there.
yeah, we'll just leave it there. One of us is the CEO of the company. So,
One has signatory on the checkbook and one does not.
correct. Correct.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Ah, well,
But yeah, I'm happy to be
check
back.
out our new live stream space, our
Man, you
new
and Anthony did
filming space.
a fantastic job.
We've been changing things since you were here last.
Yeah, you guys did a
Um,
fantastic job.
yeah, for everybody there, we've changed our filming location. We actually are taking over a part of my house, and we wanted a stable area that we could film from. Uh, at our other co-working space, sometimes the room wasn't available we needed when we wanted it. We're also changing up some of our equipment so that it's much more streamlined. And next Monday, it should be on Monday. There should be a video on the channel that will explain the next step of what we're doing with our live stream content. And because of that, I wanted a stable location to be able to film in and not have to worry about background noises or meeting room availability, things like that. So we switched up to filming here. So big announcement. Well, I think it's a big announcement. It's a project I've been kind of working on for a little while now to get set up and organized. But we're going to have a cool announcement next Monday. So there will be a video on the channel talking about it during the day. And then I'll go into questions and details and stuff like that on the Monday Night Live so you can understand more about it and what it is. So I won't give away any more details. I
So
want to.
you're gonna leave them hanging like that for a week. Nobody's gonna sleep. This is really mean.
Well, if they can't sleep because they don't know what I'm going to say next Monday, there might be a restraining order in place. Uh, um, no, but so in all seriousness, what I'm putting up next Monday, I've been working on for a while behind the scenes, and it's going to be a really, really awesome program to train people in business. So all the
Mhm.
details should be finalized by next Monday, and we'll make it really easy. So, anywho's,
Yep, very
so
excited about it. Yep.
yeah, you broke up a little bit there. All right, you're back.
Oh, am I back?
You're
Okay.
back. Okay, good. So tonight you wanted to talk about customer service. Is that correct?
I want to talk about customer service.
Okay.
It's real interesting how there's technology now, and we have all the different types of social media to market, and there's all kinds of technology to help the customers have a better experience, get a better product. But it's really interesting then that it still seems like in some arenas, it's hard to get a business to take care of the customer.
Right.
And it seems like customers are being taken for granted. It seems like they're sometimes even being taken advantage of. And so I believe this area of customer service is the easiest area to beat the competition at. Trying to build a better mousetrap, everybody's trying to build a better mousetrap. Trying
hmm
to have a better click funnel, everybody's trying to have a better click funnel. There's like all of this competition, and I think the easiest area to take advantage of is the area of customer service. Now, I want you and I to kind of go back and forth a little bit about what that is and what that means. But really, for me, it has to do with delivering more than what the customer expects. For me, that's what it is. Like if I've got an air conditioning company and I'm going to send my guys into the house, then one of two things is going to happen. They're going to wear those paper booties over their work boots when
Hmm.
they go through the house, or I don't know. At the end, I'm going to send a maid in to make sure everything is clean, or I'm going to make sure the guys clean it. Or I'm going to do something so that when my guys are done in that residence, the homeowner doesn't know anybody's been there.
Hmm.
There's not a little piece of paper anywhere. And I think the going that extra mile, doing more than what the customer expects, for me, that is like 5-star customer service. And the other part of that is you have to be willing to do that and then not have the customer acknowledge it. You have to be willing to do that and have them not notice, have them not recognize it. I don't know. They may not even be home when you're doing your thing. Um, but for me, this area of customer service, I think business owners are getting very creative in the areas of marketing, the areas of sales, um, automated administration, but then really, really surprising the customer and giving them more than what they expected, faster than what they expected. I mean, that to me is the definition of customer service.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I think, and I've said this before, and we've shot some other videos about customer service on the channel. There's not a whole lot we haven't talked about on the channel. And I've said numerous times, the more technologically advanced we get, the less in communication we are, just
Mhm.
as a society. We rely too much on automated systems and email drips and things like that to replace the actual communication with a customer or with a potential customer or something of that nature. And um, any sales process I've ever done is always, how do I meet with or how do I talk to the people in person? And so I never rely on anything to sell it for me. I always rely on my ability to sell it better than the next guy. And when you rely on, now, obviously, and I've used this example before, if you sell chapstick on Amazon, you're not doing individual phone calls. That is a
Right.
click funnel. That is, you know, uh, an automated process. And so your sales department, quote unquote, is really just a bunch of internet marketing nerds. Um, the stuff that we sell, customer service oriented, et cetera, is all done person to person. If somebody wants, in any of the businesses I've had, if somebody wants to know how much something costs before I've even talked to them, I don't even give them a price because I don't even know anything about the person. I don't even know if they need what I have. So everything I do is wrapped around talking to the individual and providing the customer service and the sale right up front. And I think that that's a big key of customer service, is that we've gotten too reliant on technology to do it for us.
I agree, and uh, even right down to the point where, and this is completely one of my pet peeves, when you call in and you get the automated receptionist,
Press one
you
for
know,
this, press two for that. Yep.
yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. And initially when that came out, whenever it was, 20 years ago or whatever it was, it's like, okay, we are cutting edge, this is, but now I find nothing more annoying than calling, let's say, the airlines. You call Delta Airlines and you have a question about your reservation, and they have this recorded voice, and is this for a domestic flight or an international flight? Press one for this and two for that. And it's like, it's just so impersonal. And
Yeah, and I mean, some things with an airline flight, they're trying to narrow it down before you get on the phone with a customer service rep. I can understand that. But for one of my other businesses, I'm actually cold calling right now. and learning. I'm making up the patterns and the scripts of how to train other people to sell what I'm selling. So I'm actually cold calling, and I'm cold calling dental offices. And last week I cold called a dental office that had the automated system, and it said, please wait because our options have changed. They haven't freaking changed.
Exactly.
And then it was press 1 for a prescription, press 2 for billing, press 3 for getting your X-rays, and it was like new patients was like the 6th option. And I'm like, oh my god! I'm like,
A
I
new
don't even know if
patient.
I'm
I
like,
don't think a new patient is going to wait to hear number 6.
yeah, I'm like, I
If
don't
I'm a
even
new
want to.
patient,
Yeah,
yeah, if I'm a new patient, I'm going to say number 2, number 3. No, I'm out of here. So, no,
and
that's what I'm talking about.
And it's just like it's so plus here's the other thing, especially at like a dental office, 98% of the times you hear that, it's the same person who answers the phone for whichever option it is that you choose.
Exactly.
They don't
Exactly.
have 8 people handling 8 different departments. There's not a full-time person there who transfers X-rays. You know, it's all going to the same place. I'm like, why do we have this stupid automated system? And that's a customer service point. That's not
Mhm.
good from a customer service perspective. That is not good from a customer service perspective. And um, like I said, as we get more technologically advanced, we forget about the customer contact and the customer care aspect of it.
And the customer experience. The
That's
customer
all part of it.
experience, all
I'm
part
losing you.
of it. And so, I guess the point I'm trying to make. Uh-oh. Can you hear me
I
now?
lost you there. Yeah, I got you now.
Uh-oh. Oh, okay. So the point I'm trying to make is energy. You have time and you have creative energy.
Hmm.
And so you're putting time and creative energy into trying to find, just stay with the touch tone answering system. That costs money, that costs time. There was a sales rep that came in to get all of that set up versus like, how can we wow this patient? How
Right.
can we make sure the patient never waits in our reception room?
Correct.
How can we make sure that, even in a dental office, you're talking about needles and drills, and people hate that. And so, like, how can I make this experience more comfortable? So, in that vein, I used warm anesthetic. They make anesthetic warmers
Hmm.
so that the anesthetic goes in at body temperature. And so, room temperature is 72 and the body is 98.6. That's like a big deal for a muscle to have, cold
Yeah.
solution. Now, dentists wouldn't do that because if you leave the anesthetic in the warmer for too long, it neutralizes the anesthetic. So rather than just have their staff have, a timer, so to speak, and a system that if the anesthetic's been too long, you have to throw away, like, I don't know, $4 worth of anesthetic. So in order to save $4, you're going to inject cold solution instead of warm solution. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
Yeah.
anything that you can do to improve the customer experience. Another thing that I did is, it's common when a patient has to have a temporary crown that's in their mouth for 2 to 4 weeks.
Hmm.
Common, because the laboratory has to make it, and then UPS has to deliver it, and then the lab is busy, and etc. So I made a deal with my lab that I got it back in 7 to 9 days.
Which was big in the 90s. Not as much today because
Not
it's
as
generally
much
faster
today,
today.
but I'm just, well, but it depends. It depends on the procedure. It depends on the
Yep.
lab, etc. But I'm just saying, take that creative energy, take the ideas that you have, rather than figuring out how to automate something or make everybody's life easier. Let's figure out how to impress the customer better.
Hmm.
How can we make their experience better? How can we have, when they are done, say, wow, that was really cool. I didn't expect this, or I didn't expect that. And so that's where I think entrepreneurs are missing the boat. And this is where I think it's the easiest area of business to beat the competition at,
Hmm.
because they're thinking about other things. and they're not thinking about how to make that customer have like a wow experience.
Right.
And so that's where I think it's very, very easy actually to beat the competition.
Yeah, another place that's very easy to beat the competition is just calling people back and showing up when you say you're going to show up.
It's sad. It really is sad. Just do what you say you're going to do.
Mhm.
It's really sad.
Mhm.
Vince, Neil's older brother, my oldest son, has a kitchen design and kitchen remodeling company, and he was very successful in Virginia. But then they wanted to move down to Florida, be closer to the family, etc. And so Vince left a very successful business in Virginia and moved to Clearwater. And that was what was that, Neil? 4 years ago, 5 years
It's
ago?
been a while, yeah. 4 or
Yeah.
5 years.
And so he had to completely start from scratch. Nobody knew who he was. I cannot tell you how many contractors and realtors told him, and unsolicited, they told him the same thing. All you have to do to be successful in what you're doing is call people back and do what you say.
Yep.
That's the standard. That's how low the bar is.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's
Well,
shockingly
my
low and
my
sad.
yeah, my sort of like rule when it comes to customer service is as much human communication as possible throughout the whole transaction and the whole, you know, process is real life communication. Um, a lot of people text nowadays. I will text, but I try and do an actual phone call more so than texting, especially when it's financials or specifics or details of a job or a contract. I never like to put any of that stuff into a text. I like to have everything verbally done and double checked and clarified before we agree to move on or do something else. And some people are like, "Oh yeah, just shoot me a text." And I'm like, "No, I'd really like to explain it all to you." "No, no, no, it's okay. I'll understand it. Just shoot me a text." I said, "When can I call you? When can I talk to you?" You
Yep.
know, um
Personal
because
contact.
yeah,
Personal contact.
every business transaction has to revolve around a real live interaction.
Hmm.
And you never know when that live interaction is going to get you the close, or that live interaction is going to tell you something about the customer or potential client that makes you realize you shouldn't be involved with them. We call them one-star people. You coined that word. Uh, People who just leave one stars everywhere they go. One-star people. If you don't have actual interaction with people, you'll never know, is this a good person? Is this a five-star person or is this a one-star person?
Right.
It takes real life communication to solve that.
Yeah. Is this somebody that I even want to do business with?
Correct.
And so, yes, you need to have a live communication about that. And
Hmm.
the other thing that I think impresses people, I know it impresses me, is after the sale is made, then get the job done as soon as possible
Hmm.
and just really get going on not just taking the money and run, so to speak, but just really
Yeah.
get going on delivering the product, delivering the service, and letting the customer know what's going to happen every step along the way. So our guy's going to be here tomorrow. They're going to show up at 8:30. Um, the job should be done by 12:30. I'm going to call in the middle to make sure that you don't have any questions, just whatever it might be, and just deliver as fast as you can, deliver more than what they expect, let them know what's happening each step along the way. That's all part of customer service.
Hmm.
And honestly, your competition is not thinking about this. We got a 90% chance your competition is not thinking about out servicing you.
Well, the what I would say, I think I think the competition thinks that they're out servicing you, but they're crap at it. And so,
Well, that could be. That
well,
could
I
be.
mean, think about it. Okay, you and I have been with businesses for a long time.
Yeah.
And somebody will come up to me and say, you know, what's the one thing about selling that people get wrong? And I go, they talk way too damn much and they don't ask enough questions. And people are
Mhm.
like, yeah, 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 but like what's like they want more. Like the key is something bigger because
Yeah.
everybody knows that, but nobody freaking uses it,
Does it
right?
right. Does it. Yep.
Nobody does it. And I
Yeah.
think that people will tell you, "Oh yeah, yeah, customer service is our top priority, of course." And then you talk to them and you're like, "Your customer service sucks." Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going that extra little bit with the customer service and really drilling in the fine points of customer service that is most important when it comes to that. I think it has to be something that happens all the time and not just some of the time. And that's the key thing right there.
Yep. Now there's another factor to customer service, and that is that things are going to go wrong. So
Hmm.
you're delivering your product, you're delivering your service, and for whatever the reason, something goes wrong and the customer is not happy. And it could be that, like you mentioned, you have a one-star customer. It
Right.
could be that you have the customer that's never going to be happy. But let's say that's 20% of the population or less. Let's kind of move that over to the side.
Yeah.
Then I have I have clients that we've had to kind of walk through the process. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? Well, the first thing you have to do is call them,
Hmm.
and they're going to call you. They're going to leave you an upset voicemail. They're going to leave you an upset email or text message or whatever. The very first thing you have to do is call them back and get in the personal contact again.
Hmm.
And so they there's a quote here that I found online that I really like, that I don't believe I've heard before. Maybe you have. Customers don't expect you to be perfect. They do expect you to fix things when they go wrong.
Hmm.
And so that's when you really have to crank it up and really be sure, because I hate when someone is upset. I hate text messages. I hate emails,
Hmm.
because somebody sends a text message or an email and they're upset. I'm not responding with a text message or an email,
Hmm.
because you cannot communicate your feelings in a text message.
Right.
And I use this example all the time in my lectures. So and this is more of a sales example, but it's the exact same point. So the customer says, wow, that's a lot of money. And then the script says, well, when the customer says, wow, that's a lot of money, then the sales rep is supposed to say, oh, but this is an investment. This is an investment in your health and your future or your whatever. But then the emotion behind those words cannot be understood in a text or an email.
Right.
So somebody can go, woo, that is a lot of money. I had this happen once. The lady is grabbing her credit card saying, oh, George is going to hit the roof when he sees this come through on Visa. Just totally laughing about it. She thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Then you have your more conservative approach. Wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, now it's time to say, well, this is an investment, blah, blah, blah. You can have the antagonist. Are you out of your mind? That's a lot of money. That's way too much. So these are just different emotions that come through. And then you are trying to handle someone who's upset now with something that has no emotion. They
Right.
are going to read into those words whatever they want to read. You're trying to be kind, you're trying to be caring, uh, but that's not going to come through in a text. And then there's the lawyer says you have to have everything in writing. All right. Okay, well, when it's all said and done, yes, put something in writing and say, hey, Neil, I'm sorry you were upset, but let's say I've already called you. You're all handled. You're all cool. You're all good. We've got it all so hey, Neil, I sorry you're upset. We definitely messed up on the blah blah. So just so we're on the same page, blah blah blah. And then it's all handled. You don't handle it in writing.
Right.
And depending on the situation and the circumstance, you handle a $5 or a $50 sale differently than a $5,000 sale. It's a $5,000 sale, and somebody's within driving distance. I'm getting in my car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to call and say, "Hey, are you at home?" "Yeah." "Hey, I want to talk." "Okay, good. Let's talk." "Hey, I'm coming over."
Yeah.
It's like it's the personal contact. And so when something does mess up, which it will, the first thing you have to do is get personal contact. The very, very first thing. So, anyway, that's when things go south, when you've done everything you can to have it go the right way, stuff is still going to mess up. But then you patch it up as fast as you can with personal contact.
Mm-hmm. So Chris is in the chat.
Hey,
Hey
Chris.
Chris, love you. Glad you love the Matterhorn mural. This is our new backdrop here for our lives and stuff. Um, so Chris says that she found a place in a local moms group online. Someone asked her to have a 3-year-old's birthday party. Several people recommended her place, but the lady said it was too expensive. So she made a nice response about our customer service and mentioned a few other places she may consider looking to have a party locally for less. That's actually a great customer service point right there.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and Chris says she had her baby on Friday. So congratulations, Chris. um,
You're amazing. So within 72 hours, she's back on the channel.
yep, of course.
Chris, you're
Uh,
amazing.
so that's actually a really good point. So I've mentioned it before. I have another business. I have a water treatment business where I sell water conditioning, filtration, pool filtration, special stuff. And my equipment is pretty different from what's already out there. And I also have a competitor whose product is much more expensive than mine and is not as effective as mine, but some people want it because it's slightly different or whatever. So whenever I see somebody ask a question in Facebook groups or whatever, my goal, even if they're not asking for something directly related to the products that I sell, but they're asking a question in a similar field, is I always just try and answer people's questions. So even if it's not about a product that I'm about to sell them, I answer people's questions. And I've actually picked up a couple of clients because um, they were told one thing by a competitor, and then they asked me. And again, it's a similar product, but it's not the product I sell. But I said, well, XYZ, da 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 da. Well, they said this. I said, okay, well, you should check out your own research and you should Google this and see what it says. And then they find out that what the competition is saying isn't exactly correct. And then they actually circle back around and have either referred me business that I closed or decided that initially they didn't want my product and now they would rather have my product just based off of the interactions with the other people. So I always try and help people just find the right thing, right? I mean, a lady asked about a pool pump. I don't sell pool pumps. I sell pool filtration. But it was a person in a Facebook group. It was local. Said the pool pump wasn't working. I don't know a lot about pool pumps, but I went. I found out what the problem was. I told her what the problem was, and she got it fixed. And okay, it took 35 minutes of my day to go over there, explain what it is that I do, explain what the problem was. She got it fixed, and now she's very happy with me. So the way I look at it is even if they're not going to buy my product or service, I'm getting in front of people and I'm leaving behind smiles. And the more
Mhm.
smiles I leave behind, the more likely I am to pick up business from them or from somebody that they know later on in the future. And that is my customer service philosophy. It's a much more service oriented business than what I'm used to. I'm used to just selling, doing client speaking, lecturing, and I actually like being able to do something different because I get to take all the stuff I teach everybody else and now I get to do it myself. But in Chris's case, okay, so somebody says, well, it's too expensive. You say, hey, I know this place might do something like that. I know this place might do something like that. You could check with them and you could find out if they might be able to help you. And just from that interaction right there, you might find somebody who calls the next place and they're not as nice as you are. And they go, well, who cares if this was more expensive? I like this person better. And that's what it's all about. Chris says, catch more flies with honey. That's definitely true. Um, in some cases, I use that approach. Some cases, I use a different approach. It all depends on the sale process. But I mean, for me, when I'm in the market for a service, this happened to me a couple years ago. I was looking for something, and there were several places all in the Tampa Bay area who provide this service. And I had never worked with this type of a business before, but I called three of them. And I ended up driving 30 minutes to St. Pete rather than the 5 minutes from my house because the person who answered the phone was way better. And I said, I'd rather work with these people. So I work with those people just because of the customer service and the actual communication that you receive. So that is the number one priority is you cannot replace real life communication with fake communication or technical communication for everything, or technological communication, I should say. It has to be real life people. Real life people are always going to get the result better.
And on a tangent to that, here's another great quote. And this guy's name is Shep Hyken, Hyken. I have no idea who he is. The customer may not always be right, but they are always the customer. So let the customer be wrong with dignity and respect. So, and we've had some video before about how the customer is not always right. As a matter of fact, most times the customer is wrong because that's why they're asking for a solution. If they knew the solution, they would go to Home Depot or fix it themselves or buy whatever they want on Amazon. But I
Right.
really like this concept here of let them be wrong with dignity and respect. So you're gonna still, even if they're wrong, you can let them think that they're right, but you're gonna help them. You're not gonna rub the fact that they're wrong, or you told them not to do it like this or like that, and rub their nose in it. And I know in Chris's case, she's talking about the price.
Right.
And quite honestly, and I've talked about this before on several videos, but in case you haven't, whoever's watching hasn't heard me say this, a few years ago, I sent a professional to Clearwater Beach on a Saturday afternoon to survey about being sold. The first pre-qualifying question is, have you ever been sold something? And we got 100 surveys, and they use beach because there's all different kinds of people on Clearwater Beach. Somebody will spend $40 to park their Mercedes across the street, and other people are riding the free trolley from downtown Clearwater. But out of 100 people surveyed, what is most important to you when being sold? That was the question. I had 11 questions, and I pretty much predicted the answers, except for this one. What's most important to you in being sold? Most important. I think the word I used was infinitely important. And I just knew it was going to be money. Well, 39 out of 100 said they wanted the sales rep to be caring and friendly. 39. 19 said product knowledge. Like, does the rep know what they're talking about? 6 said they wanted it cheap or had to get the best deal. And so, Chris, I wouldn't be too concerned about this. I know your prices are fair. Your prices are at a point where you have to make a profit. And if you're trying to beat the competition on price, I think that's just lazy. That's just like the easiest thing to do in business is lower your prices. But the hardest thing to do in business is make a profit. And so if you win the game of being the cheapest in town, you're probably not going to make a profit. You're probably going to be working too hard for too little and be better off working for somebody else. So then the thing to do, Chris, is take a look at your birthday party. Is there anything that you can add for pennies? I'm not talking about, every birthday party now gets a magician who comes in and that costs you an extra $100. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, is there anything else that can be added that just makes it a little bit more special? I don't know, personalized napkins and whatever it might be for a party, extra special balloons, or just anything that adds that little bit extra that you could say, well, see, look at my party. My party is worth this. But then also, we talked at the beginning of this call, and I wanted to spend a few minutes on this. There are just people like the 6 out of 100, they must have it cheap. It's just a personal thing. And you just, you have to have it cheap. And if I'm not getting a good deal, I don't care if you go bankrupt. I don't care if you go under, just as long as I get the cheapest price. That's a 1 star person.
Yeah.
That's a 1 star customer. And you're nice to those people. You treat them with dignity and respect, like the quote says.
Most of the time.
You just, one of Neil's challenges in life. But let them go. You have to be willing to let that 1 star customer go. You have to be willing to let the cheapskate go, the one that absolutely positively has to have the best deal for the cheapest price. You just have to be willing to let them go, because you cannot operate underneath your break even point, and you're better off being closed and not paying your staff to be there than to run a birthday party at more than what it costs you, charging less than what it costs you. So be careful of the 1 star person, the 1 star customer. Treat them with dignity, treat them with respect, but then you're never going to take them again. They're done. And in my dental practice, there was where you stand to talk to the receptionist. There was a little counter there, and it kind of hung over the edge like this, and there was a wall back this way. Well, on the wall here, where nobody could see, was a sticky note, and there were 8 or 10 names on there, and those people were not allowed back in the practice because they were just jerks. They were rude. They were mean. They they were 1 star people that we were never going to please. And then they're going to go elsewhere and not be pleased. And then they're going to find out that we actually really are nice people. But then now we're kind of done. So they were on the list where nobody could see, and my schedule was full. To just, you close the door to 1 star people is my point. You don't get upset with them, you don't get angry with them, you don't argue with them. If you have to, you refund them, and you just kind of let them move on down the road. But then they go on some sort of a list up here or written down or somewhere. You're just like, okay, we're done. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's
And
okay.
after you have a bad experience with somebody where you've taken money and then wish that you didn't, and you've refunded them or you've had to cut ties, you have to go back and look um, totally objectively. You have to look and say, when did I know I shouldn't have taken money from this person? Because you always
Yep.
know before you take money, this might go sideways, but it'll be all right. I'll make it work. There's a part
That's right.
where um, there's a part where you knew you shouldn't have. And so you have to find out when that was, and then what you have to change to make sure that in the future, in a similar situation, you won't take that money. And
Yep.
that's the other important part. So then when you find yourself in a similar situation and your spidey sense is tingling and telling you that this isn't a good idea, you listen to it and you tell the prospect, you know what? I don't think I'm the right guy for you. Um, I have many ways of having blown off a person without them even understanding that I just totally told them to leave and never contact me again, and they left with a smile on their face, and it was great.
Yep.
They thought that they were in control. In
Yep.
reality, I was like, well, you have a very interesting situation. I think you need to go and hire those staff that you mentioned before I'd be able to help you. And they're like, yeah, see, I told that consultant guy. And then they leave thinking that they just won. But in reality, I shut it down. I never even tried to do anything with them because I knew that it was going to be a problem later on. So, um, I think just to talk about 1 star people. Okay. So
Yeah.
this one time, I don't think this lady was a 1 star person. I think this lady was like a 2.5 star person or a 3 star person, kind of beat up in her dental practice. and not really winning. And she was at a seminar I was doing with her brother and her dad. And the dad was just like, oh, this is amazing. This is what my daughter needs for her practice. And the doctor's kind of like, wow, this is like, you know, whew, I think I need to do something. The brother was a 1-star person.
Oh.
And the brother is talking her out of changing the things in the practice. And I'm watching this. So I
Mhm.
meet with her, I meet with the family. Brother's a big red flag. And I'm like, all right. So I pull her aside on her own. And I'm like, listen, this is going to hurt, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Your brother is going to cause you to fail. And if you listen to him today, I can't help you ever.
Yep.
And she's like, well, I don't know, maybe not. So we end up talking for a while. She's this close to deciding to do it. Brother's still being brother. Dad walks up, pulls out his wallet, and hands me a credit card
Wow.
and says, she needs to do this. I'm paying for it.
Wow.
And I put the credit card back in his hand and I said, sir, that's an amazing gesture. And your daughter should be proud that you want to help her succeed. But if she hasn't decided for herself, I can't help her.
Wow.
Because if she did pay 48 hours later, it's going to be
Yep.
a pain in my ass
Yeah, you're
because
right. The
she's going to
brother would have made
waffle.
sure.
She's not going to make the flight. The brother would be a problem. It wasn't going to work because she was connected too closely to this 1-star person who didn't want it to work for whatever
Right.
reason. People are crazy. But because of that, I knew I can't touch this and I'm not
Yep.
going to. I turned down $10,000 on a credit card because I
Mhm.
know that I'm going to run it on Saturday and on Monday she's going to call me and tell me she's not coming.
Right.
Why am I going to do that? you know?
Yeah.
So that's handling a 1-star person, and that's seeing that this isn't going to work, because if the person you're trying to help hasn't decided to change anything, it's not going to change. I mean, this is probably 50% of the reason people don't make it through drug rehabs and stuff like that is because they haven't decided to change. They're forced to go to this rehab facility and get clean for their family. And then what happens? They relapse. That's because they've never decided that they wanted to do it. Now, that's a whole nother subject. I'm just using it as an example. But, you know, a person, once they decide to do something, they can make it work. And if they haven't decided, or if there's that doubt there, you never take money from them unless you know that you can overcome any other objections that might be happening later on.
Well, and most of our clients are in a service industry of some kind. And you make a very good point. The customer themselves may not be the 1-star person, but it could be somebody that they're connected to. Their
Yep.
best friend is there with them, their best friend is turning up their nose, or just whatever it might be. Somebody else that they are connected to
Yep.
could be the problem.
Yeah.
And so that you have to take into consideration. So that's an excellent story and an excellent way that you handled it.
Well, we've had a lot of situations in the past with clients at Matterhorn or other companies that we're with, where a person that your actual client relies heavily on is sabotaging the whole operation.
Mhm.
And uh that person calls you and says, oh yeah, we're not going to do that, I just spoke with such and such. I'm like, no, you didn't. I know you didn't just speak to such and such. you know um that person is trying to sabotage things, and that's a 1-star person. So sometimes you can't help a 5-star person who's connected to a 1-star person. And
That's
that's why
right.
I said this last situation with the dad who wants to pay. The doctor's not a 1-star person, maybe a 2.5, beat up,
Mhm.
needs help. But the 1-star person behind the scenes is the one who's actually causing the problem. And so in that
Yep.
situation, there's nothing you can do about it.
So, kind of to sum it up, as far as customers goes, go the extra mile. do the things that the competition isn't doing. When something goes wrong, by all means, put it back together, but put it back together with personal contact, not by text or email. Actually, show up if you can.
Hmm.
And then always be aware. And, there's Pareto's law says, it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of people are going to be trouble, et cetera, et cetera. So just keep that in mind and just think with a 1-star person that's pretty much just going to do nothing but complain. And so that's kind of in a nutshell what we wanted to cover tonight on this customer service topic. I don't know, Neil, do you have any other final comments?
For tonight about customer service, I mean, obviously you and I could talk about selling and customer service forever.
Yep.
We would gladly take up any other points about this that people want to hear about. If you leave some comments down below, um, we, I mean, we could talk about many different aspects of what we spoke about tonight for 45 minutes all in itself. Um, what I will say before we go is this week, I believe it's either going to be the Wednesday or Friday video. I filmed a video a couple weeks ago about closing the decision maker.
Mhm.
It's a sales video. It's probably the best like 8 or 9 minute sales video we've ever done. So keep your eyes
Wow.
open for that. And then also next Monday, make sure you tune in because I'm going to have some awesome news for people who are fans of Matterhorn. Now there is one quick question, Dad. Andre has a question. Says, how can we bypass a 1-star person or gatekeeper and ensure they don't wreck a project? Whoo. Okay.
Whoa. There's another 45 minutes.
Yeah, this is another 45 minutes. So,
Great
um,
question, Andre. Great
that's a
question.
very good question. So, without getting too detailed and going for another 45 minutes, if the gatekeeper holds all the power, you have to back out.
Yep,
Okay.
you're done.
If you don't have, okay, let's look at what I do, for instance, with dentistry or with business owners or whatever. So I have another, well, I keep saying this, I have another business where I have two businesses. So, I have a business and a partner where we work with dental offices. And um, one time, like our first client for this new company last year, I got the doctor. It was a referral of somebody I knew, spoke with the doctor. Doctor loves me. Office manager loves me. This is going to be a great relationship. We get them signed up. We're going to start implementing what we do. And all of a sudden, I just start hearing this noise from a particular person in the office who I didn't know. I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. So, me and one of my staff contact this person. This person is not helpful. There's always a stop or a barrier to doing what we need to do. And so it's becoming evident to me that this is a 1-star person. And so because I knew the doctor and I had the doctor's cell phone number, I called the doctor directly and I said, "Hey, what's going on? Yada, 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 yada. Well, such and such says this, that, and that." I said, "Okay, that's not true. This is what we're going to do, and this is how it works." And she goes, "Oh, well, that's perfect. We can do that." Well, later on in the day, I call such and such, the 1-star person, and I said, "Yeah, so I talked to the doctor this morning, and the doctor said, 'No, you didn't.'" And I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "You didn't talk to the doctor. I talked to the doctor this morning, and she said, 'We're not doing this.'" And I said, "Okay, I understand. I talked to the doctor an hour ago. She told me to call you and let you know that this is the da 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 da." And she said, "No, you didn't. You're lying." Okay,
Hmm,
at that point, Andre, I said, "You know what?
we're
I'm going to
done.
refund you guys your money. Take care." I never even heard from the doctor again, which is very interesting because we used to text each other. Um, and I sent her a text. I said, "Listen, I'm sorry things went poorly. I know such and such is going to tell you a lot of things about me that are not true. I just want you to decide for yourself." And I never heard back. So, in that case, Andre, because I knew or I had a relationship to my client that that person didn't even know about, I tried to bypass and see if it would work. It didn't work. So I said, forget about it. And I cut it loose because this person was going to stop everything that I did. Now,
Yep.
I could do that because I knew the doctor or I knew the client. Let's say, again, I'm cold calling doctors' offices and learning what works and what doesn't work in these practices. If I reach a 1-star person at the front desk and I don't know the doctor from Adam and they don't know who the hell I am, I mean, they should know who Neil Winteregg is by now, right? Uh, if they don't know who I am and I have no idea who the hell they are and I'm just cold calling them and the person answers the phone, I just move on to the next office. And I waste zero time even trying to
Yep.
talk to that person. Now, true story, 2 weeks ago, I'm cold calling dental offices. I get a person on the phone who is a 5-star person. I'm like, I want to work with this person. So I built a relationship with her over the phone, talking, how'd you get into dentistry? Just laughing, giggling, talking about this. I happened to reach them on a Friday afternoon when they were closed. So she was just there doing paperwork. Turns out she's the office manager. We start talking. She's going on vacation for a week. She's like, call me next Friday when I'm back. Give her a call the next Friday. How was your vacation? How'd it go? Oh, it was great. I said, listen, I really want to meet you. I want to work with you. She said, I want to work with you. I said, good. So you're in Tampa. I'm in Clearwater. You're 30 minutes from me. When do we meet? She goes, well, I wouldn't be able to meet with you and the doctor till next Friday. I said, that's fine. What time? Good. I'll be there. Show up. We have an amazing talk. I meet the doctor. He's super cool. Boom, signed them up as new clients right then and there. All because when the person answered the phone, I knew this was somebody I want to work with. And when I know it's somebody I want to work with, I'm going to try everything that I can to try and work with them. I'm going to call them multiple times. I'm going to email them multiple times. I'm going to put effort into getting through there because the gatekeeper is somebody I can work with. If I get like, hey, yeah, this is Neil calling from such and such. This is what we do. Is the doctor available? Oh, just send an email. Okay, cool. Thank you. I don't
Hmm.
even bother sending an email. It's not
It's a
worth
waste
my
of time.
time.
Waste of
It's
time.
not worth my time. There's not a real human answering the phone.
But, and here's the thing that I want to acknowledge you on, because you did have to get in your car and drive.
Oh, of
I
course.
mean, everybody does everything by Zoom now, which is awesome. I mean, you and I aren't even close to each other right now. We're able to do this call, but you went the extra distance, you went the extra mile. You Because you had a 5-star person, you had a cool doctor, you probably would have been fine doing it by phone, but you put in the personal contact. And that's
Of
kind of, we're
course.
circling back now
Yeah.
to how the whole thing started. Personal contact is what it's all about, and that's going to go a long, long way.
Yeah.
If anything ever goes wrong, you've got that personal contact, which is your insulation and your buffer.
hmm And I will
So,
say, definitely, I mean, if I decide I'm going to go to a business and show up to try and sell them services, I've already done my homework to know that there's a 98% chance I'm walking out with a close,
yep.
based off of the interactions with the people. And Andre, to answer your question a little bit more, just because I don't know the whole scenario and it can change a lot, if I'm talking to a business owner that I know I can help and they have somebody connected on their staff I know I can't help, and when it's just me and them, I say, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to help you. We're going to grow your business. But I have my attention on one thing. And if you tell me it's fine going forward, I'll take your opinion on it. But I just want you to know that person right there is trouble. And if this is going to fall down at any point, it's because of that person right there. And what's funny is the majority of business owners go, well, she's a little rough around the edges, but I think the patients really like her. I'm like, no, 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 no. If you think they're rough around the edges, the patients think they're rough around the edges. And they then have to decide for themselves about that and how to handle that 1-star person.
Yep.
So if I have a relationship to the business owner that I'm trying to work with, I will be very upfront that I'm afraid or I have concern that we're going to be able to do what we need to do if that person is the one in charge. If I don't have any relationship to the business owner and they are just the gatekeeper and they are 1 star, realistically you just move on, and hopefully with an email or direct mail or something like that that you're working on, you can eventually contact that business owner. But that's really the only other thing that you can do.
Yep. So that was a great question, Andre. A bit of a long answer, but
Yeah, sorry.
if if the gatekeeper really has the power, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Just move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
Exactly.
you may love the prospect, but it's going to be a waste of time.
Yep.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. It's a waste of
Yep.
time.
Don't do business connected to 1 star people if you can't, if you don't have to.
Mhm.
And I used to just walk through businesses and find the 1 star people and let them know that these people should go, and the business would do better just by those people leaving. So that is how powerful a 1 star person can be. A 1 star person makes your 5 star people 2 star or 3 star people.
That's right.
But the 5 star people,
Or
the 5 star people cannot make the 1 star person a 3 or 4 star person. It's like shoot, I don't know what word to use there. It's just the lower person brings the high people down, and the high people have no effect on the low person. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, just just move on. The best thing to
Mm-hmm.
do is just move on, because trying to put all your attention and all your energy onto that 1 star person, the you're wasting time not finding 5 star people.
Yeah.
You're just
So
wasting time.
my goal in prospecting, whether it's business networking, cold calling, handling phone calls of reaches of people coming in, is just what star are they and how do I work with that? And actually, we did a video on this called the 4 dimensions of selling. So, Andre, you should go to our channel, type in the 4 dimensions of selling. It's 2 parts. It's part 1, part 2. Um, watch those, because in so many terms, we didn't have 1 star people and 5 star people. We hadn't come up with that dichotomy yet when we
Oh
did
no, I
that,
think
did
we
we?
did. I think
Did
we
we?
did.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
been a
pretty
while
sure we
since
did.
we filmed that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
It's like 40 or 45 minutes between the 2 parts, but it's really killer. Watch the 4 dimensions of selling part 1 and part 2. So if you watch those, that will give you a lot more information about this type of stuff. So anyway, now we've reached the
All
end of the
right.
stream.
Yes.
So thank you all for
So,
watching. Hit the thumbs up, please. Leave some comments in the comments box, and then stay tuned, because next Monday we have some cool stuff releasing.
and we have not promoted Adventure to Profit yet tonight. We can't leave without
Oh
promoting
yeah,
Adventure to Profit. Your sister's gonna
that's
be
right.
upset with you.
If you want to learn more about us and you'd like to work with us, you go to adventuretoprofit.com to apply to work with us. That is a group training strategy session. That is what Chris is a part of, one of
Yes,
our
Domestic Chris
weekly
is one of our
followers,
clients. Yep.
asking questions every live stream. That is a fantastic group coaching session and model that will really boom your business. So, Andre, you can, if you're interested in learning more, you go there, fill it out. And for all
And
of you,
before we
we'll
sign
see you.
off, I want to say, Chris, congratulations on the baby.
Yeah, good
Well
job.
done. Bravo. And then we'll see you on the call on Wednesday with your Adventure to Profit. Have the little one there so we can take a screenshot.
That's right.
All
Okay, good. So
right.
hit
Thanks,
the thumbs
guys.
up, everybody, and we will see you next Monday, where we have a really cool release happening of some new stuff. So we'll see you then.
Woohoo.